Hey besties, I'm wearing a new foundation today, and if it looks a little dark or like not good, please let me know in the comments below because I'm delusional and I cannot tell. Hey besties, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Javell Ashanti and I make book related content and I also make lifestyle content, and it's all so fun and cute and I'm obsessed with it. So today we have my monthly reading wrap up for the month of May, and I'm really excited to get into it because I've been doing like my monthly reading wrap-ups every 2 months just because I haven't really been reading a lot this year. But I think I did one last month, but now I'm doing one because I did read a pretty good amount this month. I think I read either like 7 books this month, which I feel like is a really good, decent amount. So we're gonna do a reading wrap-up because there's just no way I'm gonna remember all of it for next month combined with, you know, June readings. But I read some really good books this month. I read some fun books. I read some like thriller, psychological thriller moments, and I'm really excited to talk about them. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Alright, so we're gonna start with my first book that I read in the month of May, which is The Lies I Tell by Julie Clark. I actually started reading this at the end of April, but I didn't finish, so I thought I would give like a nice little review. So The Lies I Tell is a twisted like domestic thriller, and it's by Julie Clark, which I've never really heard of her before until this book, but I'm obsessed with her writing style, so like definitely want to read more of her stuff. But The Lies I Tell is a domestic thriller that kind of gives like a deep dive into the psyche of 2 women, Meg and what was the second girl's name? Kat. And it kind of goes through or like gives us like the motivation between 2 women who are trying to define justice. So Meg, she's like a con artist and she literally just pretends to be whoever she thinks you want her to be, and she kind of like gets in your head. She pretends to be your friend or your girlfriend, and next thing you know, you're out of like your money, you're out of your life savings, you're out of like your grandma's engagement ring. She's a really good scam artist or like a con artist. And then there's Kat, Kat is working to expose Meg and all that she's done over the years, and it's an insane story. And I feel like at first I just didn't really know who to root for, whether I'm rooting for Kat, whether I'm rooting for Meg, but ultimately I'm team Meg. I loved her character so much. She was just such a complex character that like you kind of hate what she does, but you also understand why she does it, and you're just rooting for her to win, even though technically what she's doing is a little bit wrong. But like, this is a dog eat dogs world, okay? So we love Meg's character, but this is just such a good book. It's a really nice little fast-paced read, and it was just overall very enjoyable, and I loved it so much. So I would rate this like a 4.7 stars. I'm only not giving it a 5-star because I'm like being very picky about what I give 5 stars to. But if you like things like this, like a little bit of thriller moment, something that like gives you anxiety and you can't really wait to figure out like what happens, a page turner, a fast read, I definitely recommend The Lies I Tell. I loved it. And I also read Loath to Love You by Ali Hazelwood, and this is by the same author that wrote The Love Hypothesis and also Love on the Brain. And so this book kind of has 3 different stories in it. It has Under One Roof, and Under One Roof tells the story of an environmental engineer who she inherits this house from her mentor, but little does she know that the mentor also left half of the house to her nephew, and so now she is stuck living in this house with this guy, and they don't really get along, and they're always like fighting and beefing, and it's very much giving enemies to lovers. And so we get that in this book. I think like each story is about like 100+ pages. I don't know, it's just very different, but like I really like that we got to see like 3 different romances in this book, but all the 3 girls, they're all friends, so we kind of get to see them reappear in every story. I don't know, it was just like a nice little touch. Then we also have Stuck With You in this book as well, and it's about a civil engineer who gets stuck in an elevator with this guy that she hooked up with once, and then he never talked to her again, and so she gets stuck in an elevator with him, and they're both like fighting the whole time, and it's also very much enemies to lovers. And then we also get in the 3rd story, Get Below Zero, and it's about a NASA aerospace engineer who gets stuck in like a Arctic area, and she has to get saved by this guy, and they also don't like each other. So all the stories in here has enemies to lovers, and I don't know, it's just really cute stories. What I did really enjoy about this book is that it's a little bit different than The Love Hypothesis and The Love on the Brain, which I'm glad to see a little bit of change in Ali Hazelwood's writing, because Love on the Brain and The Love Hypothesis has a lot of science puns, and I feel like if you're not like a science person or like a science girly, you don't really get them. But also like they're just cringy and annoying after time. It just gets very annoying. It's like, why are we talking about this? Like, why is this so weird? Yeah, it's just cringy in those books. So we didn't really get to see this, like the cringy science puns in this book, which I really liked that she, you know, probably took some criticism. So I really enjoyed this book. I give this a 4 stars. It was pretty good. It was super cute, and yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. Then I also read Billionaire Girl by Allison West and Willow Fox, and this is obviously a billionaire romance, and it's about Levi Luxembourg. He's a billionaire, and a week ago he got a call and it says like he found out he has a child who's 5 years old that he had no idea about, and her mom is like deceased. So now he has to take on this entire new role in his life of being a dad of one, and he hires a nanny, which he starts off on like really rocky terms with, and he decides to give her like a trial period of a week to take care of his daughter and kind of just see how it works out. And he has like so much chemistry with her, like they have so much tension, and that's basically the synopsis of the story. It's just such a cute little story, like nothing too deep, nothing too crazy. I loved it. It was just such a cute little story. I love the characters. I love the daughter's character was just so cute. Yeah, so that's Billionaire Girl by Allison West and Willow Fox, and it was really cute. I read like a 4 stars. It was pretty good. Then I also read A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J Maas, and this is a fantasy book. When I tell you, everyone and their mother has read this book, and so I had to read it because I need to be in the loop. I need to know what the fuss is about, and so I don't really know if I'm gonna finish the entire series, but I at least wanted to try like the first book, even though everybody says like the other books are really good as well, so we'll see. But I did read the first book, and it's basically about a 19-year-old girl who's like a hunter, and she lives in like a society where there's just like not a lot of food, and like her family's like very poor, so hunting is just very important. So she goes out and she hunts and she kills a wolf, and this kind of breaks like a treaty between like her world and like this fairyland world, and now she is like having to pay like retribution to this other world because she killed one of their own. I'm gonna read the synopsis because I feel like I'm not really doing a good job at explaining it. When 19-year-old huntress Farah kills a wolf in the woods, a terrifying creature arrives to demand retribution. Dragged to a treacherous magical land she knows only from legends, Farah discovers that her captor is not truly a beast, but one of the lethal, immortal fairies who once ruled her world. As she adapts to her new home, her feelings for the fairy Tamlin transforms from icy hostility to a fiery passion that burns through every lie she's been told about the beautiful, dangerous world of the Fae. So that's what Akotar is about, or A Court of Thorns is about. I really liked it. It was pretty good. I don't know, it's just different. I feel like I never really read fantasy books, so like it's hard for me sometimes to kind of like fully immerse myself into the experience. Because I'm just a contemporary romance girly, okay? But it was still a pretty good book, and I really liked it, and it was pretty captivating. So I can see what the hype is about. I can see why a lot of people liked it or like it. And I might read the second book. I know a lot of people say like the other books are so much better than the first one, so I might. I don't know yet. No promises. Then I read Forever Interrupted by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is my second Taylor Jenkins Reid book, and this book is basically about a woman who she like randomly meets this guy. 6 months later, they're married. They've had like insane chemistry since they've met. They got married. She never really met his parents. No one really knows that they're even married, and then one day he leaves. He goes to like buy her cereal. He gets hit off his bike. He dies. So now she's thrown into like this world of grieving her husband, her newly wedded husband, because they've only been married for like a week. So she's grieving her husband. Now she has to also like meet his mom, who's like very territorial of him, and it's kind of just like doesn't really even believe that they're married. And now she's just like going through chaos after chaos while also grieving her husband. So that's basically what this book is about. Really fast paced. I always find Taylor Jenkins Reid's writing to be so like easily digestible, such a easy read, like page turner, entertaining from start to finish. I did end up DNFing this book, which basically means like did not finish, simply because this book has a heavy theme of like grieving and death, and that's kind of just like a really sensitive topic for me right now. So like I don't really want to consume anything with like those topics, which I should have known better when I bought this book. But you know, it was still like pretty good. In the beginning I did like, it does like back and forth, so you get like before they met, then you get like present moment where he's like dead and she's like mourning him and grieving and going through all of that. So like the moments where we do get like the before where he is alive and they're like igniting their romance, that is pretty entertaining, but the grieving part was just too hard to digest for me, so I did have to DNF this book. Eventually I think I will finish because I do love Taylor Jenkins Reid's writing, but right now it's just like really hard topic for me. So I also read Wolf, which is the first book in the Brotherhood series, about this girl where her mom sent her off to boarding school since she was like a child, and she just graduated high school. Her mom calls her, was like, move back home with me, like things are changing girl, you can come back home at least for the summer. So she moved back home. Her mom tells her she's getting married, and she's like, ma'am, to who? Who's this man? You never even told me you were dating anyone. Her mom's getting married to like a really wealthy guy in their area, and her mom like leaves as soon as she comes home. Her mom like leaves for a trip, and now she's stuck in the house with her stepbrothers, which is Wolf, Sully, and Rush. And she has like a really weird history with like the other two brothers, and then now she's like on like a weird like path with Wolf, and they have like so much chemistry, but they're also like, their parents are getting married, so it's a little bit weird. And usually like with those kind of dynamics, I don't know, I just feel weird about it because it's like you're not really like blood related, but like it's still like a little incesty, which just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. So yeah, she has like a little romance going on, and she's trying to figure out if she want to cross the line with Wolf, and like anyway, she starts finding guns around the house, and she's like, why is this so sketchy? Like this is super weird, like what's going on here? She kind of has like thoughts of them being in like the mafia. So obviously this is like a dark romance. We get like mafia romance. It was kind of slow, especially for the book that it is. Could have been sped up a little bit more. I know there's like 3 other books, so each brother gets a book. So Wolf, Sully, and Rush. I don't know if I'll read them, we'll see. I would rate this book with 2 stars. Lastly, I am gonna include my last book in this haul, which is Before I Let Go. Obviously we have to save the best for last. I'm just gonna say it right now, this is a 5-star read for me, period, point blank, period. This is a 5-star read for me. It is Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. I've never heard of her until this book. She is a Black author, which I said in my book shopping video. If you haven't seen it yet, I literally just posted it like yesterday, so please go check it out. It's pretty good, at least I think so. I'm going to read more books with like Black characters and Black authors, or just like minority characters, because I feel like those reading experiences always just hit different. And what I loved most about this book is that like it's fully within like the romance aspect. I feel like a lot of times when I do read books with like Black characters, it does have some real life elements in it, like police brutality, which I'm sorry, that is too real for me. I don't want to read about that. I don't want to read about police brutality. I don't want to read about drugs. I want to read about gun violence. I just want like a nice little, nothing too like traumatizing. Thank you. We get real romance in here. So it's basically about a married couple, and they're having a lot of like marital issues, and not really marital issues, but simply like they're grieving their aunt, and then they also just lost their son. So the book picks up where they're divorced, like 2 years out into their divorce, and they're still like going through like the grieving process. And we get to see Yasmin, who's the main character. She's like grieving very differently from the husband, and she's just taking it very hard because she did lose a child, and she also lost an aunt. And I really just liked how they handled the topic of mental health and also like grieving. I found this a lot more digestible than Forever Interrupted. So Jasmine and Josiah, they're divorced and they're just going through it, and one day they have like a little spicy kiss, and now they're kind of like wondering like, do we want to reignite our romance? And what I love most about this book is that the main character, who is a Black woman, we get to see her being like truly in love and just feeling like all these feelings, and the guy like being obsessed with her. And I feel like a lot of times we don't really get to see Black women be, you know, loved on. So I love that so much about this book. It was such a good book. We get a little spicy moment, like hands down a 5-star read for me. That's pretty much it for my reading wrap up for the month of May. I know I went on a tangent about Before I Let Go, but it is what it is, okay? But that's pretty much it for my reading wrap up for the month of May. If you haven't subscribed yet, definitely go ahead and subscribe to my channel for more. If you have like any comments or like anything you want to see from me, please leave a comment below. And if you made it to the end of this video, leave like a little peach emoji or like a, wait, it's summer, use like a little palm tree emoji, I think. Yeah. And thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, definitely go ahead and subscribe to my channel for more. I love you so much, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.